Hello, and welcome to our program, Where God Weeps In Depth. My name is Martyrdom, and through a series of short documentaries, we hope to introduce you to the realities of the Catholic Church in some of the most remote areas all around the world, especially in those areas where, regrettably, she suffers discrimination or persecution. Today we'll be looking at the country of Pakistan, which has the 6th largest population in the world. Christians make up a tiny percentage of this predominantly Muslim nation, and the presence of small groups of extremist Muslims can make life very difficult, not only for religious minorities, but also for their fellow Muslims. One of the greatest challenges lies in Pakistan's legal system, the so-called blasphemy laws. When they were originally introduced in 1962, the blasphemy laws were initially designed to protect religious beliefs, worship, and burial grounds. But between 1980 and 1986, the military government of General Zia-ul-Haq strengthened the laws criminalizing offenses such as defiling the Holy Quran or insulting Islam's prophet. Since then, the abuse of this law has skyrocketed, and today it is a form of persecution, often for selfish material gain. Let's have a look now at how this happens.
The blasphemy law is used as a political tool of dominance. So if you are a Christian or an Ahmadi or even a Muslim sometimes, I can point to you and say, you have blasphemed against the Holy Prophet. And then maybe a crowd will gather around and they will lynch you.
They will attack the family, they will attack the settlements over there. So the victim, he suffers, his family suffers, and the whole community sometimes they have to suffer.
This is lack of security, or even I have saw that the people killed in the hands of police.
Since 1987, we have been documenting data on blasphemy cases, and this data covers all individuals, including Muslims, Christians, Hindus, and everyone. Total to date, as we speak today, up to May 2019, blasphemy cases total are 1,552 that we have documented. And out of those 1,552, 229 are predominantly to Christian community. They are approximately close to about 67 to 70 Christians in jail.
What does it mean to be a witness to the faith in these kinds of circumstances in a country where, by law, a Christian testimony in a court is worth half that of a Muslim? Professor Mobeen Shahid explains some of the wider implications of the blasphemy laws for the Christian community.
In the juridical aspect, I must say that the Constitution of Pakistan does not allow non-Muslim, let's say in this case even Christian, to be President or Prime Minister of Pakistan, and that means all the 5 basic, offices of the state cannot be covered by a non-Muslim. Right. And at the same time, our women have major difficulty because of the Islamic law. A woman's testimony is 50% valid, and there should be 4 men to testimony for, when a woman is violated, she is abused. So in that case, 4 women are necessary and 2 men. So that way, because woman's testimony is valid only 50%. In order to have 1 man's testimony, you need 2 women. And in that case, 2 men are required. So in order to be 2 testimonies, there should be 4 women. So now the question is, if there was at least 4 women or 2 men assisting this abuse of the woman, why didn't they stop that abuse? So all these arguments are present, and that is only regarding the Pakistani Muslim woman. Leave alone the condition of Pakistani Christian or Hindu women, where we see what is really happening with the kidnapping of our girls by their physical abuse, and then the forced conversion to Islam. And they are obliged to marry the person who has abused them and kidnapped them. Even the person who has kidnapped them doesn't want to give back the girl. And the girl is threatened that if she does not accept Islam, first she loses the face in front of the society, but then the family will be killed. So that girl who is already living in a closed society, because our girls don't go out so much in their public contact for profession. Now only certain girls who have done their universities, they try to go out, and already our nurses who have done this work, Pakistani Christian girls who have become nurses, are having all these problems at their hospitals where they are working. By fortune, we have quite a good quantity of Catholic schools, and our teachers, girl teachers, they don't have so much. But those girls who are going out to other schools are facing the same problem.
The Catholic Bishops' National Council for Justice and Peace reports that around 30% of young Christians and Hindus suffer sexual harassment at work. Every year, hundreds of young girls are kidnapped, forced to marry, and convert to Islam. Ayla Gill from the National Commission for Justice and Peace tells us more.
The first and foremost issue is forced religious conversion of minority women. Forced conversion means changing someone's religion without his or her will. It is very common and is alarming here in Pakistan. Since last 10 years, there is an increase 20 to 30% every year. They keep an eye on a woman from minority community just because he thinks that she is less empowered, she is marginalized, she don't have equal access to education and opportunities, therefore she is an easy target. It's a common practice that they first abduct her or kidnap her, and then they took her to some sort of seminary and to some Maulana, pressurize her to change her religion. A recent case, there was a girl, she belongs to district of Shekhupura. One day she didn't come back from the school, and her mother inquired that why she is not at home. She is 13 years old and no one is allowed to meet her and no one knows where she is, and police is not cooperative at all.
मसला जी बच्ची स्कूल गई है ते उतों स्कूलों गायब हो गई है। सानू पता लग्या ते असीं ना पता करन लग पे ते टीचर ने ना सानू ये दस्सिया कि मदरसे विच गई है बच्ची, उन्हें जाके इस्लाम कबूल कर लिया, उत्थे जाके कलमा पढ़ा लिया, इस्लाम कबूल हो गया ते वो फिर असीं कार्रवाई कीती ते कोई भी नहीं उन्दा ते अमल होया।
तो उन्हें आख्या हुण ते तू कलमा भी नाल पढ़दा, अरबी पढ़ ली, हुण ते तू मुसलमान हो गई, हुण ते तू पक्की मुसलमान है। ते बहुत गुस्सा करदी सी कि लोग क्यों सानू इंज जांदे ने कि तुसीं मुसलमान हो जाओ।
मौका मिलिया उन्हें दिता, आज़ादी नाल नहीं करन देंदे,
नाल ही हुंदे ने। फिर मैं गई हाँ तो मैनू आंदी तुसीं भी मुसलमान हो जाओ, तुहानू भी मैं दावत देनी आ, जो तक मैं जींदी रहांगी तुहाडी किहना लईदा सारे टब्बर दा मैं खर्चे दा इंतजाम करनी आ, इंज करनी आ, वो करनी आ, मैं तुहानू दांगी ते तुसीं मुसलमान हो जाओ। मैं कहा नहीं असीं नहीं ये काम।
कि आंदे ने कि जिन्नियां नू भी लै आईए साडा फायदा, असीं जन्नत खरीदने आ मुसलमान करके, उनके मसीहां नू इधर ले आईए सानू जन्नत टक्करदी, इन्हां दा ते निशाना हुंदा जी। हाँ कि मसीह नहीं सही, महसूस यही करना है कि साड़ी बच्ची सानू वापस मिले।
They are kidnapped, abducted, and then they'll got some sort of brainwashing from them as well, that we will give you some sort of financial benefit. Behind this is married. After 1 or 2 days, she gets married to that man. The particular age for conversion is considered 13 to 16 years. For Punjab, the age of marriage is 16 years. In Sindh, it is 18 years for a girl. But it's not implemented in true sense. This is the question, that how can a 13-year-old decide consciously by her free will that she is going to be converted or she want to embrace Islam. Then they don't allow her to meet a single person from their family. So this is a sort of psychological and mental torture for the girl. If a Muslim wants to convert to Christianity or Hindu or any other religion, they are not allowed to do so. Being a woman from minority community, in some way I feel disappointed or pessimistic that this should not be happen to the girls belong to minority communities. And if someone wants to change his or her religion, this provision should be for everyone.
Shafila was 14 years old when her Muslim relatives kidnapped and raped her. She was held captive for several months and forced to convert to Islam. The kidnappers, however, eventually decided to return her for a ransom because of her poor health. The court case did not end up bringing the perpetrators to justice.
They
hurt me a lot, beat me. They beat me hard, kept me captive in one house, then another. When I refused to accept Islam, they beat me, saying, "Convert. We are Muslim. We must convert you to Islam." They hit me, took me to the mosque for lessons, drove to the mullah. They forced me to sign, to put my thumb fingerprint on many documents. Then, in my presence, my uncle phoned my parents and said, "Give us 500,000 rupees and we will return your daughter." They continuously tried to get me to marry, and when they failed, they brought me here and left me. When we go to court, we come alone, whilst they come in the company of many men. They are a threat, whilst we threaten no one. I want to be a Christian because of my father, my grandfather. So what would I do if I were to become a Muslim? All our family is Christian.
Not only does the law turn a blind eye towards kidnappings, rapes, and forced marriages and conversions, but the violence also lies in the heart of society, in the family, where acts of so-called honor killings take place. If a girl marries a man without the family's permission to wed, the belief is that she must either be killed to defend their honor, or at least they get vengeance by pouring corrosive acid over her. Sister Nazreen shares her horror at the violence enacted on girls so young.
I remember I was in Sindh. The girl was in 9th grade and her aunt was a friend of mine. So uncle heard from somebody that she was pregnant. No evidence, no test, no nothing. She came back from school and he just called her into the room. They had only one room house. And he put kerosene oil on her and set her on fire. And when I went to the hospital, her flesh was hanging and I just fainted. I just could not see that. And that incident is so much alive with me. Very often, even in the middle of the night, I see that she's there hanging everywhere. The flesh is hanging and even her teeth were burned. I did not know how to console her. She was a wound, whole body was wound. So I wanted to put my hand just to say, I am with you. I just did not know where to put my hand. She died after 5 days, and 5 days of suffering and screams and pain and agony. I just cannot forget that. Nobody asked her whether she was pregnant. Uncle, because he's the male in the family, he had the right to do that.
A powerful witness in the face of this violence and a staunch defender of religious minorities was Shahbaz Bhatti. The first Christian to hold a position in the Pakistani parliament, Shahbaz fought tirelessly to protect religious minorities. His courageous stance and Christian faith, however, made him a target. He was repeatedly threatened and, in March 2011, he was assassinated. In 2016, the Vatican opened his cause for beatification.
There's been worldwide condemnation of the murder of Shahbaz Bhatti, the only Christian minister in the government of Pakistan. Mr. Bhatti is the second senior politician there to be killed for speaking out against the country's controversial blasphemy laws.
Pakistani Minister for Minorities Shahbaz Bhatti has been shot.
He'd been visiting family just a short distance away. He refused to go into hiding, though he knew his life was at risk. But in recent weeks he was concerned about security. He complained that he hadn't been given extra protection in spite of the obvious threat he faced.
Born in 1968 in the Punjabi Christian village of Kushpur, one of the few such places on the map of Islamic Pakistan, Shahbaz Bhatti was Pakistan's first Christian government minister.
We studied in a Christian school, we were living in a Christian village, and we didn't have any problem. But in a government school where the majority of the students is different, he was surprised facing different kind of people who expressed their reservation, like sometimes people were saying they are not allowed to eat with other students. So for him it was very, very strange. He really got angry that this is not human.
I met him in the college. He was beaten by the Islamic Jamaat Talaba, the student organization of Islamic radical group. And that was the time they were dominating all the universities and colleges in Pakistan. He was beaten because he belonged to the minority group, to the Christian community. And there he decided that he should raise his voice, that he is Pakistani, he belongs to this society.
One day, they formed a group called Christian Liberation Front. He also realized that it has to be wider. That's why he called All Pakistan Minorities Alliance, because that not only spoke of the Christians, it spoke of others who are discriminated in the country, the Hindus, the Buddhists, and others.
Introduced in 1985, blasphemy laws continued to remain the biggest source of discrimination. Anyone committing a blasphemous act towards the Quran faces a penalty of life imprisonment, whereas anyone found to be blaspheming against the Prophet Muhammad faces a death sentence. Towards the end of 2008, Shahbaz Bhatti, come to please by Bishop Anthony Lobo to accept the nomination of Religious Minorities Minister. Within a short time, he managed to introduce a law guaranteeing minorities a 5% share of public posts, including Parliament. One matter which Shahbaz Bhatti became wholeheartedly involved with related to Azia Bibi, a Christian mother of 5 children who had been charged for blasphemous acts and accordingly sentenced to death. Open claims of misuse of blasphemy laws led to Shahbaz receiving a growing number of threats.
When I'm leading this campaign against the Sharia laws, for the abolishment of blasphemy law, and speaking for the oppressed and marginalized, persecuted Christian and other minority, these Taliban threaten me. But I want to share that I believe in Jesus Christ, who has given his own life for us. I know what is the meaning of cross, and I am following of the cross.
He was definitely a man with a dream, with a vision, that we can live together as different religious groups.
Shahbaz Bhatti possessed a great passion within, a great need to serve his fellow men. He was a very good human being. I believe that we greatly need reconciliation and harmony. We greatly need these values to grow, so that all of us, believers of all faiths, might firstly respect the great people of all faiths.
Following the death of Shahbaz, his brother Dr. Paul Bhatti left his medical practice and took on his brother's work. He told us his motivation was Shahbaz's example, how at age 14 years he was so deeply moved by Jesus' sacrifice for the world, and he wanted to follow Christ with his life. It was this, together with his profound awareness of the plight of minorities in Pakistan, that led him to step into his brother's footsteps, protecting religious minorities and promoting religious freedom. With time, and inspired by the faith of his mother and his brother, Dr. Paul today has come to forgive his brother's murderers. He tells us now about his journey to forgiveness.
When my brother was killed, I was really angry. I didn't like Pakistan. I was not wanted to stay in Pakistan. I was in Italy. I was wanted to take away my mom and all the members of family and go away and say goodbye forever to Pakistan. But I went there, Pakistan. I saw very moving situation. There was thousands of people, even from Muslim community, and they were honoring him. They loved him, and President of Pakistan and all these people asked me to continue his struggle. It was very critical for me because I was enjoying my profession in Italy. I had a very good job. I was earning very good money, and so it was not hard to do that. So, but when I start, seeing the people start having these people who are concerned, for their faith in future, who will carry his mission, I think something start changing in me. And my mother, she was the ear witness of my brother's death because he was killed just a few meters from my house. And when he was killed, there was a lot of fires of the Kalashnikovs. And my mother she didn't know what is happening, but she heard that time, and she saw in the one window, and my brother's car was there, and he was dying inside. So for me, it was most, a painful moment if I accept this, responsibility, and how will react my mom when she has lost her son, to whom she was living more than 10 years together. And every morning. So at that time, I went to my mother. So I was afraid to, share this, my personal feeling. So I am thinking to carry his. So I was not telling her that she will be hurt because I can imagine, the situation she was passed through. So, but she very courageously said, Paul, I have forgiven the killers of your brother because they don't know what they have done. because these are just people who are planning to do that and they don't know what they have done. So I have forgiven. So that was the thing which have moved me, and I thought even Shabazz would have done that, because that was the Christian faith. More than all our the things, he was wanted to be a Christian, and he was wanted to be known as a follower of Jesus Christ, and which is known by his testimony, his speeches, his video channels. So he said his most desire is that he will be honored if the Jesus Christ accept his sacrifice protecting the religious minorities in Pakistan. So considering that, so I think I don't have other choice. So next to that, I see a lot of space in Muslim community. There are very good Muslim people who want to change the country, who want to defend the Christian people, who want to work together, who want to live together, even the government people, politicians. And every time when Muslim people, the President of Pakistan, his son, when they're talking about the Pakistani future, they're honoring my brother, talking that he was the hero of the country. And you know, the President of Pakistan awarded him most courageous award of the country to my brother. So I mean, seeing all this sympathy, it was not from Christian people, it was from Muslim people and from the people who are in such state to make difference in the country. So I am quite convinced that the sacrifice of people like my brother or like others will not go in vain. And Jesus has seen that.
Though he has suffered greatly, Dr. Paul sees real hope for the future of religious minorities in Pakistan. It is not easy, and the situation facing minorities is still difficult. But people of goodwill across all religious divides are striving for unity and peace. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps In Depth. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of the Catholic Church in Pakistan, how she struggles in protection of the religious minorities, especially against the blasphemy laws, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.